Before we get into this, subscribe to the channel. Strange history focuses on what actually worked when theory met reality. If you care about survival lessons drawn from real conflicts rather than marketing brochures, this is where those lessons live. Operation Desert Storm is usually remembered for smart bombs, night vision, and overwhelming firepower. What's discussed far less is how brutal the environment was on equipment. Extreme heat, fine sand, long distances, and constant vibration punished anything fragile or over-engineered. In that setting, some of the most reliable survival solutions didn't come from military procurement pipelines at all. They came from civilian gear, improvised kits, and personal choices that quietly outperformed standard-issue equipment. This isn't about embarrassing the military. It's about understanding why simplicity, familiarity, and adaptability often win when conditions are unforgiving. Civilian hydration systems really did outperform those rigid military canteens. Sure, military canteens were tough and durable, but honestly they just didn't cut it in extreme heat. During Desert Storm, veterans often found themselves reaching for civilian hydration bladders, water jugs, and insulated bottles to supplement or even replace their issued gear. The real benefit wasn't just about how much water you could carry, it was about how easy it was to use. Civilian systems let you sip constantly, rather than making you stop for a drink every now and then, and that steady hydration helped reduce dehydration and heat stress in a big way. Many soldiers quickly discovered that, actually, drinking small amounts of water often kept them going far longer than gulping down large quantities all at once. Civilian hydration gear played a big role in encouraging those smarter habits. And, in survival terms, that mattered a whole lot more than just having tough equipment. Civilian footwear sometimes outlasted even the standard-issue military boots. Those issued boots were designed for durability across all sorts of environments, but honestly, Desert Storm really punished those heavy designs. Issues like heat retention, blistering, and slow drying became serious problems out there. As a result, many soldiers quietly turned to civilian hiking boots or running shoes whenever the regulations gave them a bit of leeway. Lightweight civilian footwear reduced fatigue, improved mobility, and prevented foot injuries that ended careers and missions alike. Historically, foot health has always been a survival priority, and Desert Storm reinforced that lesson brutally. Civilian eyewear that protected vision better than issued gear. Sandstorms weren't an inconvenience, they were operational threats. Fine sand damaged eyes, reduced situational awareness, and caused infections. Civilian goggles and sunglasses, designed for desert recreation and motorsports, often provided better seals and comfort than issued eyewear. Vision is survival. Civilian gear succeeded because it was designed for prolonged exposure rather than short-duration compliance. Civilian cooling solutions, really kept soldiers operational in those harsh conditions. Military uniforms were definitely robust, but, heat management was always an ongoing challenge. Civilian cooling towels, breathable fabrics, and moisture-wicking layers helped regulate body temperature more effectively than just the standard layers. The military eventually did adapt many of these concepts, but during Desert Storm, civilian solutions really filled the gap. Soldiers survived because they managed heat proactively, not simply because they endured it stoically. Civilian navigation backups actually outperformed early military tech. GPS technology did exist, but it was limited and, at times, unreliable. Civilian compasses, paper maps, and wristwatches proved absolutely indispensable. Soldiers who trusted those fundamental navigation tools often outperformed those who relied solely on the emerging systems. This really echoes a recurring historical theme. Redundancy beats innovation under stress. Civilian navigation kits were, simple, durable, and totally immune to electronic failure. Civilian personal medical kits, they actually addressed real needs. Issued first aid kits focused mostly on trauma, but day-to-day survival, honestly, demanded more. Things like civilian blister care, hydration salts, sunburn treatments, and basic medications kept soldiers, functional. Survival isn't just about catastrophic injury. It's really about preventing small problems from becoming, mission-ending. Civilian kits excelled because they addressed reality, not just doctrine. Civilian clothing layers, they adapted much better to those wild temperature swings. Desert environments can be pretty deceptive. There's this extreme heat during the day, but then suddenly it gives way to a really sharp cold at night. Civilian layering systems, often borrowed from hikers and climbers, actually allowed soldiers to adapt quickly. Issued systems were, certainly durable, but they were a lot less flexible. Civilian layers worked because they were modular, lightweight, and designed for constant adjustment. Honestly, adaptability kept people alive when conditions changed rapidly. The military, as you might expect, designs for scale, standardization, and logistics. Civilian gear, on the other hand, is designed for the individual. In Desert Storm, the environment really favored individual adaptability over uniformity. Civilian kits worked because they were intuitive, flexible, and easy to modify. Soldiers trusted what they understood and could adjust without waiting for approval or resupply. This doesn't diminish military capability. It highlights a truth history repeats endlessly. Survival favors those who can adapt faster than systems can. The takeaway isn't that civilian gear is always better. It's that survival gear must match environment, behavior, and human limits. Desert Storm showed that when conditions become extreme, the most effective tools are often the ones designed around human use rather than institutional requirements. That lesson applies far beyond warfare. Disasters, breakdowns, and emergencies reward the same traits: simplicity, familiarity, and adaptability. If you value this kind of historically grounded analysis, subscribe to the channel and share this video. Some of the best survival lessons come not from what was issued, but from what was quietly trusted when everything else failed.